Good day, everyone. Welcome back to my channel at Home with Donna. I wanted to tell you guys a little story, and I hope that you enjoy it. Have you ever thought about all the different ways to fasten something together, or to put something together, or hold something together? Well, I think about when we fasten a blouse or a shirt. We fasten it with a button and the little slit cut that holds the button together. And that makes our shirt stay together. We take a hair bow and we put in our hair to hold it back and fasten it and hold it together. We put on our shoe, a shoe that has laces. We have to hook it and fasten it together. We go in our kitchen and pour ourselves some cereal. We have to open it. We pour the cereal in the box. We pour the cereal out of the box in the bowl. And we have to put the cereal back in the box and fasten it together so it does not go stale. There's purposes for this to make things work correctly. We open up a gallon of milk to pour on our cereal. We have to place the cap back on and seal it and fasten it together so the milk doesn't have odor get inside of the milk, where the milk won't get spilled all over the fridge, and to protect the milk's quality. Also, when you drive a car, your car, when you turn it on and you put it into gear, you happen to fasten it into a gear to keep it safe for driving. When you sit under the driver's side, you fasten in with a seatbelt to hold you securely in place for stability, for safety. When you lay down at night and get ready to go to sleep, you wrap the cover up tightly against you. You fasten it all around you to keep you warm, to feel snugly safe and cozy. There's so many different examples of how you fasten and hook things together, replace and assemble things, and put all these things together, and it all works together for good. Well, that's what God does. He put us together in such a way in the beginning of time. We didn't have to worry about how to breathe, how to see, how to smell, how to hear, how to walk. All of these things He gave us. And the ability to walk comes for a baby at the proper time. God never shortchanged us. He prepared us for everything in life that we would ever face. So I was thinking about when I was a little girl, what I did. I was young, I'm not quite sure how old I was, but I got kind of mad at my mom and dad for something. I don't remember what it was, but I remember the event of it. I stormed out of my house, and I stood down in the middle of the field and just stood there with my back turned away from my parents' house. I was being very stubborn and not very nice. And I remember standing there so determined to stay there. And my parents at first did not get angry at me. They let me stand down there. I was trying to prove a point that I was in control and I made the decisions of what I wanted to do. So I was being stubborn and said, well, I'm going to do this because I choose to do this, and I'm going to stand here for as long as I want to. I don't even remember, guys, how old I was, but I remember I acted so silly. What was I trying to prove on that day? trying to feel like what I was doing was right and what I chose to do by being stubborn and rebellious. Does this ring a bell to any of you? Have you ever felt stubborn and rebellious? Have you ever felt stubborn and rebellious to God? And let me ask you something. What does it really prove? Where does it get you? Nowhere as far as I could see. I was standing down there in the field, trying to choose to do what I wanted, and I was freezing. I remember my parents at first let me stand down there, but then I heard my mom say, "Come on up here, honey, and get your coat." Well, that made me even more madder. I thought, she wants me to just stand down here. But really inside, deep inside, I wanted her to tell me to come back. So that made me even more madder. So I thought, oh, she doesn't care. She don't care. So I'm going to stay down here even longer. So the stubborn side of me grew and grew, and it mounted up into not being very nice. Well, I wanted to go and turn back around to my parents and to my house. But oh no, I didn't listen. I just stood down there. But what was it solving by me doing that? Nothing. I felt lonely, sad. I had no peace. I was just getting uglier and meaner by the minute. Well, the next thing started getting late, I know that, and it was getting dark. A little bit darker, so I knew I was starting to get a little bit scared, and I thought, man, by my actions and what I chose to be like, it's not made me happy at all. The choice I made began to make me realize I hadn't made the proper choice at all. So see, I realized a valuable lesson that day, that what I was choosing to be like was not making me happy. See, guys, for God already knew my actions and what I wanted to be like was not proper and not the right thing. So the next thing, guys, I was hoping, I wanted to take a turn around, but I dare not do it. The next thing I heard my dad say, "Get up here right now." I was so happy to hear those words. He was calling me to the house. And guys, I felt free. A trap that Satan and my own self had gotten me into by being mean and being rebellious and not listening to my parents. I was so thankful and glad that they were getting me out of that mess. And for the first time, the anger lifted. I took a deep breath. Oh, I blowed it out and I went, I'm free. I'm free. I get to go back out of my house. I don't have to be stubborn and rebel against my parents and be mad at them. And I turned myself around back toward the good. I turned my back on my parents and was disobedient. But when I turned around, I knew that I loved their discipline. I knew that they must love me or they wouldn't have called me to come back. They would have let me stay down there in the cold. But they knew that I was being silly. And I realized how silly I was being. And I was so thankful and I had peace and joy and I came walking back to my house. You see, guys, that's the way we do God. We rebel against Him, don't we? In many, many ways in our lives. And God, He wants us to turn around and come back to Him. And how long will it take? And how silly of it that it is when we don't. Who is it hurting, guys? It's hurting us. And the beautiful time that we take away from our fellowship with Jesus. See, Jesus wants us to come to Him and obey Him and learn from Him. And He is the one that leads us and guides us to all righteousness and goodness. And when we don't listen to Him, we're hurting ourselves. And so that's what I did. I was down there hurting myself, and it was so silly. For what reason? What reason is it to do something wrong or be mad or angry or sin? There's no reason for it at all. I think in life, if we really think about that, we'll see, and we really think about our choices before we do it, we'll understand that God is right. And He's only doing it because He loves us and helps us. And if we still disobey and choose wrong, whether we want to admit it or not, we really are choosing the wrong way in life and hurting our own selves. Some people never come back to God and they miss out. Some people do and they recover. And then some people never accept God in their life at what they could have with Jesus. Every day when we wake up, we make choices and decisions in our lives. And all of us sin and fall short of the glory of God. And we need His help every day, all throughout the day. I sure know I do. And I do know one thing is that God is the truth, the way, and the light. And everything He says is the right way. And He does not lie. If we choose the other ways in our life, we really are hurting ourselves. We shouldn't allow the enemy or ourselves to pull us down to dark places because we're missing out. And we shouldn't want that for ourselves. God sure never wanted it for us when He created us. And He sure don't want it for us now. I hope this helps someone out there today to understand that you can stop for a moment and say, what would Jesus do? What is the right thing to do? And if it takes you having to visualize if you chose the wrong way, what's going to happen? And then sit back and think about, if I choose the right way, what's going to happen? Love yourself enough to choose the right way. But most of all, love God and others enough to choose the right way. Life is hard out there, and we all need Jesus to give us the life, the peace, and the joy. Like I got that day when I turned my little self back up that hill and went into my parents' house and had the peace and love and the comfort that they gave me. Just like taking a warm blanket and wrapping it and tucking it all around you and fastening it. We fasten ourselves into the life with Jesus. We're hooked on Jesus. Like you hook a fish. You're hooked on Jesus. You're fastened into the life He wants you to have. May God bless you all always. I just wanted to tell you this little story of how God showed me in my heart a few minutes ago how rebellion, how it can hurt you, and how doing what's right can set you free. May you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I love you all. Bye-bye.